Welcome to the Rambler Sports Locker. I'm Eric Moran.
And I'm Connor Bergen. The men's basketball team played in its final home game of the season Tuesday night against Drake. This also meant it was senior guard Bruno Skokna's final home game of his career. Before tip-off, Skokna was honored at midcourt. Despite seeing a drop in minutes this season and battling an illness, Skokna made his first start of the season against Drake, scoring 2 points in 4 minutes. Loyola went on to win the game 64-60. As a sophomore, Skokna was a key bench player in the team's 2018 Final Four run. He played in all 38 games that season, shooting almost 35% from deep and averaging over 3 points a game. Now the win Tuesday gives Loyola a perfect 9-0 record at home in conference play, while the team's overall record now sits at 21-10. With a win in their regular season finale Saturday at Bradley and a Northern Iowa loss, the Ramblers will clinch a share of their third straight MVC title.
It was senior night for Bruno Skokna, but it was also senior night another Rambler Saturday night.
Shelby Kluver has more on one of Gentile Arena's loudest superfans.
The crowds at Loyola's Gentile Arena have risen over the past few years, and the student section is regularly filled with excited fans. But there's one familiar face players count on to be there at every home game. Whether he's leading fan chants, heckling the refs, or hyping up the team, Charles Huang isn't shy about his love for the Ramblers. To him, fan support is the key to a successful team, and some might call him a super fan.
You know, it's 5-on-5 out here, but we have a 6th man out here, and they are right on top of the action.
The senior statistics major has been to nearly every Loyola home game since January 2017, and he doesn't limit himself to one team. Charles makes a point to come out for both men and women's basketball and volleyball.
It's just fun to be out here, just come out and support, the other teams other than men's basketball. They work their butts off just like all the other student athletes here, and it's just a really unique experience.
He can still remember the very first game he went to, back in January 2017, when Loyola played Evansville in what he calls a slugfest. With 30 seconds left in the game, head coach Porter Moser looked at the student section and raised his arms.
We were loud for the rest of the game, and we were able to pull out the win. That was a moment when I knew something special was happening. Not only, with the men's basketball team, just, here in general. I think we have that culture here that is really just special. You can't find it anywhere else.
While Charles plans on moving away from Chicago for grad school next year, he hopes to catch a few home games during breaks. And while it's impossible to say if his cheering led the men's basketball team to being undefeated at home in conference play this year, one thing's for certain. His presence in Gentile was always a guaranteed 6th player. Shelby Kluver, Rambler Sports Locker.
Thanks, Shelby. The Loyola women's basketball team has seen vast improvement from last season. Last season, the Ramblers were 6-12 in conference play and 13-18 overall. With a few weeks left in the season, the Ramblers already have more wins than they had last year. Right now, the Ramblers sit at 15-10 in regular season play. A few Ramblers have been at the forefront of the team's turnaround. Abby O'Connor, Allison Day, and Tierra Wallace have all played a significant role. The Ramblers have lost their last 3, but have 4 remaining games, which are all MVC matchups. Right now, the Ramblers sit at the 8th seed in the MVC, but it is a tight race in the middle of the conference. If the Ramblers were to win out, they could finish 5th in the MVC. The Ramblers next play Drake February 28th at Gentile Arena. Now we move from a turnaround to a downturn. The Loyola men's volleyball team has not had an ideal start to the season. The team has gone 5-10 in their first 15 games. To put the team's struggles into perspective, last year the Ramblers went 21-8. They are not even halfway through the season and already have more losses than they did last year. This is quite the change for a program that won a national championship in 2014 and 2015. The Ramblers lost 6 seniors from last season, making their current team a lot younger. Now, despite the slow start, the Ramblers were still able to upset MIVA rival Ohio State in Gentile Arena this past Friday. This is a big win for the program because the Buckeyes are 9-6 in regular season play, while the Ramblers are just 5-10. The Ramblers only had a short time to celebrate because they then immediately lost to Ball State. The upset win and then a devastating loss is just another example of the Ramblers' inconsistencies this season. The Ramblers' next game is a MIVA matchup against division leader Lewis University Saturday, February 29th.
And I don't know what you're doing for spring break, but the Loyola softball team's plans might make you jealous. The team flew to Florida this morning for an 11-game road trip. Starting Friday, the games will take place in North Orlando and Madeira Beach over an 8-day span, with a 3-day break in the middle. The high in Orlando next week is projected at 88 degrees, while Madeira Beach is projected to be in the 70s. This will be the 7-3 Loyola squad's first game play in over a week. The trip will also feature the Ramblers' first matchups against Power 5 opponents when they play Kentucky Friday, followed by Iowa next weekend. The road trip/vacation will end next Saturday, March 7th, against South Dakota State.
Moving to national news, the Houston Astros were recently punished by Major League Baseball for using technology in order to steal signs in the 2017 season. While the Astros have been punished, that doesn't mean fans and players of rival teams are ready to forgive. So far during spring training, baseball stars like Mike Trout, Cody Bellinger, and Bryce Harper have all spoken out against Houston. 7 Astros players have already been hit during at-bats. Fans of opposing teams have showed their displeasure with the Astros. Several viral videos show fans of opposing teams yelling and booing at Houston players. Fans have also gone as far to make signs mocking the Astros for their cheating scandal. One of these signs was even confiscated by stadium security. The Astros' regular season has not even officially begun, but judging by the first few games of spring training, 2020 is going to be a long year for Houston.
Sticking with national news, Eric Moran, can I get a quack?
No.
What? We're talking about the Oregon Ducks, yeah? Check out this duck. Sabrina Ionescu is now the first woman or man, so just person, period, to put up these types of numbers in college. She has over 2,000 career points, 1,000 career assists, and 1,000 career rebounds. She reached the milestone with a rebound in the third quarter against Stanford Monday night. The third-ranked Ducks took down the fourth-ranked Cardinals 74-66, and Ionescu finished the game with her 26th triple-double of the season. And by the way, that's another NCAA record. The Ducks star has been on a permanent hot streak, but closer to home, Bulls rookie point guard Kobe White has been on a tear of his own. Haley Samples has more in this week's Chicago Close-Up.
While this hasn't been the strongest season for the Chicago Bulls, rookie Kobe White has been making his presence known on the court. This past weekend, White had back-to-back 33-point performances against the Phoenix Suns and the Washington Wizards. These performances were huge for White, making him the first Bulls rookie to have back-to-back 30-point performances since the legend Michael Jordan. He is also the only rookie to have back-to-back 30-point games this season, along with Zion Williamson. These last 2 games came as a shock primarily because out of the 17 Bulls games played in January, White scored only single digits 8 times, shot 33.3% from the three-point line, and averaged less than 2 assists. Despite his stellar performance in these past 2 games, Bulls coach Jim Boylan isn't quite convinced that White is ready for a bigger role on the team. Boylan credited White's standout performances to his work before and after practice. While Boylan acknowledges White's hard work, he's not prepared to move him to a starting position. He explained that the team currently has a system in place and putting White as a starter would be inconsistent. However, White isn't upset with the coach's decision. He explained recently, "This year for me wasn't about starting, it wasn't about being this, being that. It was just about me getting better over the season. And that's the main thing in this league. You just keep getting better." This is just the beginning of White's career, and we'll see if he can maintain his success for the remainder of the season. For Chicago Close-Up, I'm Haley Samples. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Haley. I'm all for Kobe White being humble, but he should start. It's not like things have been working out for the Bulls so far.
Yeah, the Bulls season has not gone the way they would have liked. You would think that Boylan would have put him in as a starter by now.
Let him play.
Yeah, exactly. For our full episodes and the chance to get in on the conversation, follow and like our social media handles for an up-to-date look at scores and all things Rambler Sports. That's it for us tonight. I'm Eric Moran.
And I'm Connor Bergen. Next week, RSL will be stationed in St. Louis for the MVC Men's Basketball Conference Tournament. Be sure to tune in.